Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today I actually have a double feature, and it's going to be FlyingFish1 with 2 videos, because I originally had one recorded, and then he sent in another one, and it was so hilarious that I absolutely needed to do that as well. So you're going to get 2 today, and thanks FlyingFish for sending these in. Let's go! Now this is a replay that I've had, I think, for quite a while. And I honestly, personally haven't played the Kitakaze. I don't even have that ship. But she is the tier 9 Japanese gunboat destroyer. The Daka boat. The thing that has tiny little guns, but it tickles you to death with them. He's playing in a bottom tier battle. And there are 2 Baltimores on the enemy team. So he does have to watch out a little bit. Classic Kiev, which is presumably also a very, very good gunboat, even though I haven't played that thing either. So this could get interesting depending on what the enemy team is up to, especially if the cruisers are paying any attention. So let's go and see what happens. They are playing Encounter, which is still one of the very frequent battles in the upper tiers. And he spawns at the center. So his division mate in the battleship is over on their right flank, which means he has to, well, probably deal with that whole area. Because, again, this is a cross spawn, so up north, right straight up north from him, there is where the enemy team, spawns. At least the 3 of them. So there are going to be 3 ships on the enemy side, straight ahead there, and one of the destroyers most likely. Because again, the other destroyer is probably going to spawn in the cup. So you could expect at least 1 destroyer, probably a cruiser, and maybe a battleship coming down this way. So he pops the engine boost and, well, gets himself into position to do something about that corner there. And there's the first target spotted. And he is spotted. Now the only thing that can outspot him is the Shima. So he turns and exactly, there's the Shimakaze. But the Shimakaze can't outgun him. So he slams the ship into reverse just in case the Shima drop torps and starts opening up at the Shima. And the Shima decides not to take that engagement and is running. So Shima is now on fire. He's lost, well, maybe a third of his health, but he's gone stealth because he hasn't fired his guns. And it, by the looks of it, hasn't even fired his torpedoes because, you know, it's a destroyer. You're never going to hit the Kitakaze, who knows what it's doing with torpedoes from that range. So he's still detected, that's probably Shima, but he is free to rush forward, and it looks like the rest of the team is kind of clustered up there in the center. I'm not sure against what, because their team is in a defensive position. So there are 2, there's the Shima again, and there's the Baltimore coming around. So he pops the smoke and drops some torpedoes. Now he's dropped them ahead of the Baltimore, because the Baltimore was in a turn, so he's going to accelerate out of the turn. Hasn't used his torpedo reload, just so he has one in emergency probably, and starts taking the Baltimore under fire. And these little pop guns don't do much damage, but they reload dreadfully quickly, and that was a good spread. So it looks like 2 hits on the Balti and probably 1 on the Yama back there, or maybe a third hit, third hit on the Baltimore. So Baltimore took 3 torpedoes and has decided he doesn't want to be here because there's a very angry smoke screen that's firing very tiny little explosives at everybody. Oh, Shima's back. So rushes forward, but he's getting completely ignored. Now he drops some torpedoes in that direction. I don't think he's trying to actually torpedo the Shima, but he is switching over to the armor piercing, maybe? Considering it. Still on high explosive. Yep, switches over to the AP. Torps might clip the Freddy, but I think not quite, because Freddy is quite quick and he was accelerating. So back to the high explosive to set fire. So no, that was one. Was that 1 hit with Freddy? Not quite sure. It's just another torpedo hit. I think the Baltimore ran into his torpedoes again. And he has a very good, you know, if there are that many ships in one cluster, you can just fire the torpedoes in that direction, in the general direction, and hit something. So the guns have extremely good arcs because they are such small calibers that you can fire over pretty much any island. But you know, he's still just trying to set another fire on the Freddy and sailing in the general direction, and the enemy team is still completely ignoring him. Now they've lost the battleship, but that Freddy is going to go down any moment soon. And can he get the kill? Can he get the kill with that firepower? Yes, he can. Okay, there's the first kill for the team. And there's a Yamato, which isn't looking at him either. So the enemy team is just kind of clustering around the center islands and has now decided that they want to go right flank. So it sets a fire on the Yama. And there isn't much on the right flank, but their cap is getting pressured. Okay, Baltimore is on low health, so priority target. See if he can get that guy killed. There is an enemy battleship in the enemy cap, and it looks like the enemy team might be pushing down the flank to get a capture done. Now that Musashi there is running and kiting away from a Fletcher, which means he is not going to be able to maneuver very much, because the Fletcher probably has, the Fletcher has torpedoes away. So that's where he uses his torpedo reload booster and just drops 2 torps into the direction of the Musashi, pops the smoke, and it's still, I mean, the Musashi is dead. He doesn't stand a chance. Absolutely no chance. But they're still equal on kills. And there goes the Musashi and the big caliber. Yeah, he had no chance to dodge those, really. And he's dead very much. Fletcher takes the kill. Now they're getting capped. Enemy team is a ship down, but they're capping. But so is the friendly team. So he can actually chase after the Yamato, try to set some more fires, and see if he can get in range to protect the friendly cap. Now it's 45 seconds left. I don't think that's enough time to cap out. So as long as they are ahead on points, they should be okay. Now the friendly destroyer in the enemy cap is having a destroyer in a dogfight there. So if he loses, they're probably even on points, which means it would be really good if he could get another kill. Maybe that Yama, because that's really his best bet. 20 seconds is not enough time to drop some torpedoes. If the rest of the team... Okay. The Fletcher kills the Kiev. Wow. That's not a duel at close range. That's not a duel I thought he would win, but he did. So now they're ahead on 2 ships and it's all good. And he can just farm some more damage on the Yamato and comes up to a grand total of somewhat around 121,000 points of damage. Actually, the game just registered 120 because I think a couple of shots were hitting after the battle was already over. So, thanks Flying Fish for sending that one in. That was hilarious to watch. He hasn't lost a single point of health in this whole game. Nobody has ever felt the necessity to shoot at him throughout this whole game. So this is what you can do in a Kitakaze when the enemy team decides that you are not worthy to be shot at. You can tickle them to death. So, FlyingFish1 in the Gallant, the premium British destroyer in Tier 6 that I actually haven't played myself yet. And it's been a while. I've been around for a while. I had a quick look. 120mm guns, 8 torpedoes, single fire, and she gets the traditional smoke screens, not the fuel smokes, because that thing's been around for a while before we even had fuel smokes in the game. So, FlyingFish1 here is teamed up with a Fushun, the completely overpowered Pan-Asian destroyer, which is really a Gnevny with long-range torps and a smoke. But this is not about the Fushun, this is about what Flying Fish is going to do in a bottom-tier game against, oh, a Ranger, an Atlanta, a Budioni, an Aoba, an Aka, and a Fargut. Okay, let's go. Who do we have to watch out for? Well, the carrier, obviously, and there's an Atlanta in the game. Oh dear. And the Akatsuki seems to be, well, at least a somewhat experienced player. So we'll see what they come up with. Bay of Storms, where is he going to spawn? Yeah, so he spawns on one side, which means he has at least 1 cruiser, possibly 2, coming up his direction, plus 1 destroyer. And there's a carrier in play. It's not an ideal setup. Well, but he's got 3 smoke screens, and well, we'll see what happens. So the friendly carrier starts scouting on the other side of the island. And his teammate in the Fushun's on the other side. They are the only 2 destroyers, so well, at least his teammate knows what's coming, but he doesn't quite. Okay, so there's one of the destroyers. We knew that much. At least one good thing: the enemy carrier isn't going to go this way. So he goes and scouts. and kind of tells tells his team that, yeah, there is a lot of unpleasant things that you don't really want to meet in that direction. Okay, one of the cruisers is in the center. We can see that on the minimap, but we don't know yet where the rest of them is. And he's heading straight in there. Okay, there's the Akatsuki. So over to the armor piercing. And there's the Atlanta. Oh crap. This is a bit of a brown alert moment. So he drops his torpedoes against the Atlanta. And of course the Akatsuki has dropped torpedoes of his own. Now I would have slowed down here, but he decides to go for the dodge, probably to get away from the Atlanta. And that is a masterful dodge right between the torpedoes. But what's the Atlanta doing? Well, first of all, he's eating 4 torpedoes. And the Aka has decided he doesn't want to have anything to do with it and leaves. Because there's also a cruiser here on the friendly side. So, since he wisely... There's the Galicianaire. So, since wisely he hasn't been firing his guns, he is no longer spotted. And the Atlanta seems to make... Well, West Virginia is AFK, so the Atlanta seems to make no further attempts of actually chasing down that destroyer that was right here, but rather goes around the side. And there's the Aka back. So he uses his smoke and decides to just drop a scattershot of torpedoes in the direction of the Atlanta, because by the looks of it, the Atlanta hasn't quite realized that he's not in a destroyer. He thinks, I must rush that AFK battleship. Meanwhile, the Akatsuki has been torpedoing the Galicianaire and completely ignores him here in the smoke screen. But yeah, the Atlanta is very predictably sailing straight up. And these are Farragut torps, I think. Because if these were Aka torps, he would have been dead by now. But he isn't, so they weren't. And the Atlanta takes 4 torpedoes again. And at this point, he decides to smoke up because, oh dear, I'm low on health. But now he's dead. This is a masterclass in how not to play the Atlanta, I'd say. There's the Akatsuki. The Galicianaire says, okay, there are 2 more destroyers. And the whole rest of my team's on the other side, so I'm going to go to the other side and help out there. And leave these 2 destroyers here to the AFK battleship and the bottom tier British destroyer. So, here he goes. Who do we got? Akatsuki and Farragut. He doesn't probably want to fire single spreads. Yep, there comes a wide spread. Sends one out against the Farragut, saves the second one. The Farragut has stopped firing his guns. Oh, he's still shooting? Is he shooting? No, he's not shooting anymore. He stopped firing his guns. What do you think? Do you think he's got torpedoes away? Well, he's been so busy lining up his torpedoes that he completely ignored the fact that he's getting torpedoed in return. And that's 1 hit. So he's got a bit of health still. But there come very predictably come the Farragut torpedoes. And again, the Akatsuki has decided that he doesn't want to have anything to do with this action. And seems to be heading last seen towards the cap circle. So now, well, he's got half his guns on the wrong side, and the Farragut is a good gunboat. But after that torpedo hit, I don't think the Farragut's going to survive that gunfight. And he stopped shooting his guns. I wonder, did he try to get the torpedoes away? Yep, there they come. Well, Flying Fish here anticipated that, obviously, and just keeps firing at the Farragut. There's the Akatsuki again. He seems to be... Yeah, he's done sinking the carrier because the Hiryu has completely obliviously forgotten that there's a destroyer. And now he's coming over this way. So we know he's out of torpedoes. Well, he's not firing his guns, which means Flying Fish is smoking up and is going to drop both sets of torpedoes in the Aka's direction. Now, the Aka is not an idiot, so he takes 2 torpedoes, but he's still alive. Now what? He's flooding. He damage cons and he rushes him into smoke. This is a bit of an awkward moment, them sitting right next to each other. And the Aka's torpedo should be reloaded any second now. So what's he going to do? He's going to accelerate. But from this distance, he cannot possibly miss him, can he? So there come the Aka torpedoes, and they both miss. How do you fuck this up? And now the Akans is completely out of torpedoes. His guns are pointing the wrong direction, and he's out of health. So he's hugging him, trying not to get torpedoed. The thing is, Flying Fish doesn't need to torpedo him. He just needs to shoot him because he's dead. And the Akatsuki realizes that as well and tries to motor away. But at this point, yeah, he just has to kill him. And there comes the Farragut. And the Farragut's been firing his guns, but he stopped firing his guns. What do you think that's going to mean? Yes, he's trying to get torpedoes. Yeah. And the Farragut's dead as well. I'm sorry, I need a moment here. How in the world do you screw that up? I mean, the West Virginia has been AFK. The Galicianaire ran away. He's been the only one sitting on this flank. the whole time throughout the game. And he won against 2 destroyers. Well, 3 destroyers if you include the Atlanta. I've watched this like for the 5th time now. This is absolutely hilarious, and I think I completely agree with his motion here in the team chat. It's like, what did we just watch? How do you mess this up? This is absolutely glorious. Well done, Flying Fish. Thank you to the enemy team for providing this level of entertainment for everybody. That was glorious. Thank you, Flying Fish, for sending that one in. And everybody be sure to check out his channel. I'll leave a link down in the description. That's it for today. Thanks, everyone. And I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.